Welcome back to Smiggity Black Podcast TV. I just want to give all the thanks out to all the subscribers who took time out to hit like and subscribe out there. Excuse me. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for getting in the comments, you know what I mean? And hitting that bell so y'all can stay on all notifications. Keep the notifications up so y'all can know when I drop everything, what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say I appreciate y'all. So y'all just stay tuned here with this new reaction on Bankroll Freddie. You know what I mean? The last trap rapper. We gone.
Last year, Bankroll Freddie was one of the hottest up-and-coming rappers out of the South. He dropped his second album with features from massive artists like Megan Thee Stallion and 2 Chainz, and it looked like he's about to take over. But last week, Freddie got busted with 21 pounds of weed and is now in FBI custody. Here's what's going on. On April 15th, Bankroll Freddie got pulled over for speeding in Marion, Arkansas. Getting a speeding ticket is one thing, but that was probably the last thing he was tripping on. When the cops searched his truck, they found 21 pounds of weed, 171 grams of promethazine, and a gun. According to reports, Freddie also got hit with charges for resisting arrest, speeding, and not wearing a seatbelt. It ain't clear why the FBI is getting involved, but Freddie might be caught up in a major investigation now that the feds are working the case. Freddie's always had a wild life, and moving weight is nothing new to him. He grew up in a small town called Helena, Arkansas, and been in the streets since an early age. His pops was a gambler and involved in a dope game too, and he brought Freddie with him everywhere he went. Like most kids, Freddie looked up to his dad and wanted to be just like him. He saw his pops making money and buying new cars and clothes, and Freddie wanted the same thing for himself. He even told his first grade teacher that he wanted to be a drug dealer like his dad. In interviews with Vlad TV and DJ Small's Eyes, Freddie talks about how crazy his life was growing up in Atlanta. Most kids are playing with toys and watching cartoons at 9 years old, but that's when Freddie saw his first murder. He was walking down the street when he saw his cousin chasing down her own brother with a butcher knife. She stabbed him over and over like a horror movie while he screamed at Freddie to help. Freddie ran away to call 911, but by the time the paramedics arrived, his cousin was already dead. No charges was filed against the woman because her brother had a history of abusing her. But witnessing something that crazy is gonna leave a mark. Watching someone get shot is traumatic enough, but seeing your own cousin get stabbed to death with a butcher knife is next level. But violence seems like it's always surrounded Freddie. He told Vlad TV that over the years, he's lost over 15 friends to gun violence, and he's been shot on 2 different occasions too. Not much is known about the shootings, because Freddie ain't going into detail about them. But he has talked about the gunshot wounds, and it's clear he's lucky to be alive. The first shooting went down in 2017 after a fight in a casino. According to Freddie, there was a fight first, and the other side came back shooting when he left the casino. He was driving down the road when someone sped past and shot out his back windshield. He ain't even noticed at first, but then a second car pulled up next to him and started dumping shots too. Freddie tried to duck out of the way, but one bullet hit under his arm and another grazed his head. His homie in the car with him got grazed in the back and in the head too, but Freddie was lucky to be alive. If the bullet that hit his side had gone a little to the left, it would have hit him directly in the heart and killed him instantly. The second shooting went down in May 2021. It ain't clear exactly what happened, but Freddie got hit in the spine and the bullet traveled up his back and got lodged into his shoulder. Doctors managed to cut out the bullet fragments, but Freddie could have easily been paralyzed from the injury. Spinal injuries is no joke, and if the bullet was even half an inch closer to his spinal cord, he probably wouldn't even be walking today. Getting shot twice don't sound lucky, but Freddie said he'd been in over 30 shootouts, so it's crazy that he only been hit twice. He explained that Helena is a small town, so there's nowhere to hide. There was times he'd been in 3 or 4 shootouts in one day because he kept crossing paths with his enemies. Freddie says getting shot is scary because you don't know if you'll live or die, but it actually don't hurt that much. He admitted in an interview with DJ Small's Eyes that one time he slipped on some ice and broke his ankle, and that hurt way more than getting shot. He said he tried to tough it out and walk it off, but ended up breaking another bone in his foot and had to wear a cast and roll around on a scooter. Not only did Freddie see his dad sell dope, he also witnessed him win big with gambling. His dad shot dice on the block and went to legit casinos too, but he never knew when to quit. Freddie talks about how his dad would win like 70 racks in 10 minutes, then be dead broke a few days later. Freddie took after his dad and started gambling heavy around high school. Every night for a year straight, him and his homies rented hotel rooms and people came through to gamble with him. Freddie says he don't got a gambling addiction like his pops, but he did admit that he's lost over $400,000 in dice games. He said that he don't gamble heavy like that no more, but some fans think gambling debts might be why he's still moving weight even after his rap career took off. After he got shot in 2017, Freddie realized he needed to change how he moved. His first son was on the way, and Freddie wanted to be there for him. Music was never really something he considered as an option, but after he caught a case in Memphis, he had to show the courts he was working on something productive. So he dropped a couple songs in 2017 and started building a buzz in the city. He still wasn't taking music too serious,
start
but in
taking it serious.
2019, he recorded a freestyle to Act Up by the City Girls, and everything changed. Freddie posted a freestyle, and Pierre P. Thomas from Quality Control Music tapped in immediately. Freddie appeared on an episode of Big Facts and told him, "I posted on my page, and that P hit that instantly. He shared it like, this hard. Then everybody went to call on my phone like, P, post your shit." Even though he wasn't really even a rapper at the time, P obviously saw the potential. Freddie said, so then he hit me up the next day like, call me, send me your info. Boom. I get on the phone with him, and he's like, I'm finna fly you to LA.
And man, Coach K though, they just know though. Like,
flew me to LA, and the rest been history. Freddie dropped his debut single, Drip Like This, followed by his first mixtape, Saved by the Bells, in July 2019. Drip Like This popped off a little bit, but then Quality Control put Young Dolph and Lil Baby on the remix, and the track went crazy. Right now, it got almost 20 million plays on Spotify, and it launched Freddie into the mainstream. In 2020, he kept the momentum going and released his debut album, From Trap to Rap, with features from Lil Yachty, Moneybagg Yo, and other established artists. Unfortunately, he couldn't go on tour like he wanted because of the pandemic, but behind the scenes, he had more deals in the works. When up-and-coming rappers have a hot song or album, they usually try to ride that wave and release as much music as possible. But Freddie went MIA for 10 months with no new music. Fans was confused at first, but then, in January 2021, he made a comeback. Freddie announced he signed a deal with Motown Records and dropped a single, Add It Up, to celebrate the event. On the track, he brags about his cars and jewelry and raps, "I ain't dropped in 10 months, and I still ain't went cold yet." Then a couple months later, he dropped his second album, Big Bank, and a single with Megan Thee Stallion. Within a couple of years, Freddie went from just a random hustler in Arkansas to one of the most exciting new artists in the game. It seemed like everything was going his way, but now he's being held by the FBI and could potentially be facing life in prison. Even though Freddie's pops introduced him to the streets as a kid, his family tried to keep him out of trouble. After his cousin was murdered in 2009, Freddie went to live with his mom in Conway, Arkansas to get away from the violence in Helena. But by that point, Freddie was knee-deep in the streets and went back to Helena every weekend. Helena's a small town, but that don't mean it ain't dangerous. Back in 2008, the crime rate was over 5 times the national average, and it's still a wild place today. People usually talk about crime in bigger cities like Chicago and New York, but some of these small towns you never hear about can be way worse. Freddie says his cousin was killed on July 5th, 2009, and ever since then, July 5th is Retaliation Day in the city. And just a couple years ago, he lost another homie on the same day. Growing up surrounded by crime and violence, Freddie just adapted to his environment. He told the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, "We were some hotheads back then, and we're getting in trouble and doing stuff we didn't need to be doing. I was in the streets real bad." In 2020, he went on Off the Porch and said he started robbing houses when he was just 12 years old.
I was young, I was like 12. We was out here, we was kicking doors, you hear me? We was, you know, flat screen was popping, so we had all the flat screen. We used to be doing breaking in house, getting TVs, computers, breaking into school, getting computers, you know, selling that shit. We were doing shit like that.
After he blew up with music, it looked like he had moved on and left it all in the past. But obviously, that ain't the case. Right now, there ain't too many details publicly available about the case, but rumors started flying as soon as the news broke. Freddie talks about losing hundreds of thousands of dollars from gambling before, so he might have turned back to pushing weight to pay his debts. He told Vlad TV back in 2020 that he got 5 kids with 5 different baby mamas, and those expenses add up quick. In a lot of interviews since he signed to Quality Control, Freddie talks about how much legit money he's making now and how he's been able to back out of the streets. But maybe that was all a front, and he never really left the game. He claimed that Off the Porch interview that he was booking 4 shows a week for over 20 bands each, and that was before he dropped his second album or worked with any big names.
I got 4 shows every weekend, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, going crazy. I'm booked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 20 bands, 25 bands, like I'm getting crazy money. So I'm like,
25 bands.
For someone who's as well known as he is, it's kind of interesting that Freddie was riding solo with over 20 pounds of weed. Moving that much weight is crazy enough. But he was allegedly pulled over just for speeding, and the cops found the drugs after the fact. Freddie been around the dope game since he could walk, so you would think that he would know better than to be speeding while driving around with that much work. Now that the feds are involved, who knows what'll happen with the case. It's probably gonna be hard for Freddie to beat the charges unless he cooperates with them and cuts a deal. Hopefully, he gets a good lawyer to help him out of the situation, but it's still too early to say what might happen. This case is still developing, so stay posted for updates.